Well, one of the big topics is religious freedom, freedom of religion, and it's being challenged, as you well know, by the various cases across the country. And one of those cases is right here in the state of Oregon. Marion County Circuit Court Judge Vance has elected not to do weddings in order that he will not have to perform a same-sex marriage, which violates his faith. Earlier, we had the chance to talk to Judge Day, so join me in that conversation. Well, what an honor for us today to have the Honorable Judge Vance. He's a Marion County Circuit Court Judge, and perhaps you have heard about him in the news lately. And so we wanted to directly talk to him, and we have served together in some other capacities. And what an honor to see you, Judge. How you doing, my friend?
Good to be here with you, Perry. Appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you and talk about the issues.
Well, this has been very interesting. You have decided not to perform weddings in order to defend your religious beliefs, and you've been in the news because of that. Bring us up to date. How did you make that decision, and why did you make that decision?
Well, once the federal court here in Oregon made a decision back in May of 2014, I pondered what course I should take. I had been doing weddings up until that point, and I had several scheduled during the summer, and I was concerned about just canceling those because I made a commitment. I wanted to fulfill that commitment. So I talked to my staff and advised them that if anybody called who was a same-sex couple, that we didn't want to deny them the opportunity to get married because the court had spoken, at least in Oregon, but they should be shifted to another judge and quietly, basically a recusal. When a judge recuses himself from a case, nobody knows why, you just shift the case to somebody else. So my intent was to quietly and calmly and without hurting anybody's feelings, just protect my religious liberty, my First Amendment right, and have those people be married, the couple be married by another judge.
Now, in doing that, Judge, you made the decision not to do any marriages in order to be equal. Is that true?
Yeah, eventually. I had some on this calendar, and so I wanted to fulfill my obligation to those folks. And I think I did 13 weddings during the 2.5 months after the decision by the district court. So I did do some weddings, and I don't know, frankly, Perry, if anybody called and actually asked for my services that was same-sex. I don't know that. So this might be a victimless ethics allegation or violation, at least from the commission's standpoint. But my job, does not require me to marry anybody. Under Oregon statute, it is a may perform weddings. It's not a must.
Okay, so what are the ethics violations? It's kind of a mixture of a couple things, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It's 13 counts. My team has put out the complaint that has been filed against me at the end of June of this year. Filed is a bit of a euphemism. They kind of put it into their own system. They're not filing it in court or anything like that. We answered and addressed each of the allegations. We put that out into the media as well, because we thought it was important that people understand the real issues. What really happened, Perry, was back in the late summer last year, there came an issue regarding a veteran that I had helped. I was trying to be a good Samaritan, went over to his house with my son to go ahead and fix a wood stove or a pellet stove that he had. And while we were there, my 23-year-old son went out to his truck and got out a pistol and was showing it to this veteran who was a member of the Veterans Treatment Court that I supervise. He showed him this pistol, and I didn't even think anything about it. It was unloaded, but it wasn't present in my mind at that time that this veteran had a felony. I'd sentenced him for a felony. So that was the original issue, that could be a violation of ethics. And so I sent, once I had a conversation with a couple of judges on my circuit, they suggested, and I agreed, I volunteered to go ahead and send a letter to the commission. And so I'm the one who reported the original ethics potential problem. When the commission came down and did an investigation, some people told them that I had decided not to do gay marriages. And that's when things got a little difficult. because suddenly I was alleged to have violated multiple areas of the judicial code. And so I don't know what the commission is exactly thinking, but the bottom line is that, they've kind of taken a shotgun approach. And when you look at those complaints, I don't recognize the person that's on the other end, meaning me. It's not me that they're, it's going to be expensive. It's difficult, but I certainly appreciate all the people who've called and supported and standing behind me. It's amazing how sometimes when this country hears of an issue that is so important to our liberties, and that we have a good discussion in good faith about that people stand up and are willing to help out. I appreciate that.
Let me say to our viewers and listeners that Judge Day has, there is a defense fund set up in his behalf. It's called defendjudgeday.com. And let me encourage you to prayerfully consider supporting his efforts if this thing continues to accelerate. It's called defendjudgeday.com, and support his defense fund. Judge, we found out earlier today that Washington County Judge Thomas Cole has decided to take your position. Where is this going to lead?
Well, if you listen to the Oregonian and Steve Dean, who wrote a column the other day, he thinks it should lead that all people who are of faith and have this perspective should not serve in public service. They should get off the bench. They shouldn't be elected. In essence, what he's saying is the people of faith should not apply for jobs. And I strongly disagree with him, obviously. I think that the tension between the First Amendment and these rights, which the court recently decided are the law of the land, we need to have that discussion, and we need to see what the courts are going to say. To tell people of faith that they're no longer wanted in the public square, so their opinions will be honored and at least listened to. Our nation has come it has fallen far from where it first began. And I think it's important that people of faith stand up and say, no, I know the law changes, but God's word doesn't. And so let's start having that discussion instead of just trying to ruin people's reputations, like I feel mine is being ruined.
Judge, the whole issue of religious freedom in the United States seems to be in the crosshairs. What's your thoughts about that? Where's it going?
Well, I take Justice Scalia's point of view, frankly. I mean, he, in his dissent in the recent case, laid out what he thought would happen, and it's already coming true, and that's that people of faith are looked at as a lesser species within the public square, that their opinions are not valuable, that they're based on superstition, and that science rules. In essence, a philosophy of materialism or utilitarianism comes smack out of humanism, and humanism is a religion, frankly. It's a worldview. And most people don't, think about that all of us have a certain filtering mechanism that we view the world through. We all have a set of glasses. It's called a worldview. So our worldview, the Judeo-Christian worldview, my worldview, shouldn't be viewed as less in a constitutional republic. And I fear that that's where it's going. Unless we as a nation stand up and say, hold it. This nation was built upon a Judeo-Christian worldview. That's why we have a constitution, and have this discussion rather than just have ad hominem attacks on people, destroying their reputation, trying to silence them from speaking out.
How's it going? Are you receiving any threats? Are you getting harassed?
Well,
that you can
my
mention?
staff is, I'm very grateful for my colleagues on the bench. Marion County Circuit Court has been a great support. The Marion County Sheriff has assigned folks to the fourth floor to watch out for me and my staff. There have been some unfortunate calls and some unfortunate mail and faxes received, but I think at least 2 to 1, it's been favorable versus negative. And I want to say thank you to those people who have been calling and texting and doing those things, that, especially on the internet. To have this lively debate on the internet is important, and to not be afraid to speak out. The more people that speak out, the more will be heard.
Judge, there's an interesting twist to this. You're not allowed to defend yourself.
Well, yeah, that's the uncomfortable part. By even getting on your television show and talking to you, there's a potential that the commission could say that violates the judicial ethics canons, and that I have, now going to have to defend myself just for defending myself. But my lawyers and I, when we talked about it, I made the decision, frankly, that when the commission put out the press release earlier this week that was inaccurate, it was, in my opinion, ill-timed, meaning they didn't send it to me personally. I didn't even know about it until I started getting calls. And so we decided, no, I need to step out and start discussing this. Because without at least a thoughtful discussion about our liberties and when they come into conflict, what we should do, we who want to stand for the liberties that we have will just be rolled over. And you know me, I'm not that type of person to allow that to happen.
Judge, in closing, first of all, I want to say to our viewers and listeners that Judge Vance Day does have a defense fund, and I'm encouraging you to prayerfully consider sending him a donation. How far do you think this is going to go? By the way, the defense fund is called defendjudgeday.com. Defendjudgeday.com. How far do you think this is going to go, Judge?
Well, we'll have a 2-week hearing, it looks like, in November. That's kind of like a trial before the commission. The commission, they prosecute the case, well, they decide to file the case, they prosecute it, they're the judges on the case, and they're also the jury. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with the commission, since they're the ones who are prosecuting me and going to decide my fate. I shouldn't say they get to decide my fate. We know who does. Then it goes up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will look at the facts that the commission has decided, and they will listen to the recommendations of the commission, and then they'll make a decision. From that point, I think we have an option, depending upon what the Supreme Court does, to then file with the United States Supreme Court and ask them to listen to the case and to decide whether a judge, if my First Amendment rights are violated, that to decide that issue. And so that's what we're preparing for. We got a long way to go before we get there, if we even get there. But we have to be prepared. And this issue is not going to go away. They gave me the opportunity to resign. In essence, they said, either you can go through this process or you can resign, and it all goes away and nobody will know. Well, I didn't do anything wrong, and I'm not resigning.
Wow, thank you for your stance. One part of this ethics violation, I don't understand, where did the artwork come into the picture? Why are they attaching that to this commission research? I mean, that seems so far out of the case.
Well, I think it adds a salacious point to, a media bite, if you will. When the media hears that a judge hung a picture of Hitler, oh my gosh, and then everybody gets all excited. Well, we have 70, 80 wall hangings on the 4th floor that are designed to encourage soldiers who are part of the Marion County Veterans Treatment Court. And those wall hangings show, soldiers all the way back from the Civil War through Vietnam who came back kind of torn up, but made lives that were valuable, and they got healthy and whole. And so we've hung many pieces of memorabilia. And there was a World War II surgeon who was a paratrooper who came back with the Bronze Star and a unique painting of Hitler. And he wanted to donate, his family did, his memorabilia and this painting of Hitler, to be hung somewhere. So we created this wonderful collage with the picture of Hitler, the painting, way in the back, and everything of the soldier in front of it, over the top of him. And the design was to say, when a nation of citizen soldiers volunteers to go overseas, leave their families, leave their jobs to fight fascism, we will win. And we did win. We wanted people to understand that unless we understand and see the face of evil, if we forget what it looks like, we are doomed to fight it again. Well, that was the point of the piece, but it doesn't come out like that in the media. And the commission has decided that by putting up that beautiful framing piece, in my opinion, it was beautiful, that I violated the ethics canon because it happened to have an image of Hitler.
Well, Judge, you're in our prayers and our thoughts, and I know you personally, and I know that where you're coming from on this. Did you ever thought, as a believer a person of faith, a judge, that you would ever find yourself in this position?
No, it never crossed my mind. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm grateful to be an American, number one. Number two, I have a position of authority that needs to be discharged in honor and with courage. And I'm grateful for the opportunity I've been given to serve in this fashion. It discourages me that the commission, which is supposed to be fair and neutral, has taken this tact and seems to be coming after me personally for what are my beliefs, I believe. So I think we'll get through this as a nation, and it may make us stronger. That's my hope. I have great faith in the people of the United States and our system. And as our money says, in God we trust. I believe that as we continue to trust in God, He will continue to bless this nation.
Thank you, Judge. And please know, again, you're in our thoughts and prayers. Let's stay in touch on this, and any way that we can keep the ball rolling. And I want to say it again to our viewers and listeners, he needs our support, he needs our prayers, and if you feel led to donate to his defense fund, let me encourage you to do it. It's the defense fund is defendjudgeday.com. That's the website, defendjudgeday.com. Thank you, Judge. Blessings to you, my friend. Let's stay in touch.
Thank you, Barry. Nice to be with you.
All right, Judge Vance Day, and again, it's called defendjudgeday.com. That's the defense fund.
Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.